precious.
Everyone got upset with me when I say DEI was not a thing in healthcare. I'm back to tell you again, it's really not. It's really not. It never was. African American companies were never generally accepted in the healthcare world, but let's dig into it. Let's talk about it. Can we come up with a solution? Henry Mason Jr., CEO of Precious Hospice. Some call me Healthcare Henry. What is DEI? What does it represent? Are there programs out there for us minority business owners in healthcare? No. And when I say no, people are going to say, oh, but we have this program and it exists. Like there's this hospital that says they work with minorities as long as they can get certified. Let me explain to you why it doesn't exist. And quite frankly, no one's going to challenge it, and why it may never exist, even if they made a way to try to help it become a thing. When you look at the balance sheet of a hospital, right? Let's take any hospital you like, and let's just use Precious Hospice just for the sake of conversation. And let's say that Biden had decided 3 years ago, maybe he would decide to make an executive order that we are going to now put into effect, hospitals have to use healthcare companies at 20% of all of their business that they do to support a DEI initiative. It would never work. And let me tell you why it would never work and why we never got the benefit of that anyway. Let me be completely honest, because on the balance sheet of the hospital, hospice, home health, home care, these things typically don't exist because they're not paying us directly. Now, if they were to build a program that says, because hospitals need a lot of stuff, that says, hey, your DEI program has to provide 25% of minority companies who provide bed sheets or beds themselves, right? Things that the hospital has to personally buy, then those are items that they would be able to see on their balance sheet. Therefore, those things would be appropriate and you would be able to notice what they have there. Enjoy the little things. Of course, that's super important to me. But more importantly, at what you want to know, it wouldn't work for us. It's never worked for us. We've never got any special treatment. And more importantly, we don't even get fair treatment in this space. We never have. And so what we have to do now is explain to people, because there are people that have been very close to me that I didn't get to service, because when you're thinking about hospice at that time, most people, it's not something you think about in the future. Let me explain. So when you go to the hospital, let's say for whatever reason you got sick, you're feeling sick, and let's use a cancer patient, the chemotherapy's not working, going back and forth to the hospital. And so now the social worker says, she comes in and says, hey, the doctor says that there's nothing else they can do. This is your option. And when you first hear that, what's your initial thought? You're distraught. You don't want to go back and ask questions. You don't know what's going on. And that's when they hit you with the hospice of their choice, which is not ever hardly going to be an African American owned one, or home health. Now, I'll be very honest with you, I don't know another one. And when I say there aren't some other ones, there are some that are mixed owned. I don't know any that are 100% owned, because I know when I say that, people are going to send it to me and say, what about this company? And what about that company? Now, again, I sit at the table, so I understand how this stuff works. And you don't have to just take my word for it. You can easily go on. Let's just use Georgia business lookup, pick the hospice of your choice. You're going to find the ownership, most times the ownership group, private equity company or a company owned by a private equity company. You're only going to find one that I know of, 100% minority owned, Precious Hospice. So we're not going to come up in that conversation. If you want to be seen, like if you want to have a special doctor, you've got to go seek out your own doctor. If you want to come to us, you got to seek us out. And I think this is the saddest thing I've ever had to say. But when people are asking me, well, why don't you all? Let me also say this. This is going to be the truth. And this is one of those things that is, when I say seek us out, until we were big enough to hire people from other companies, we didn't know that we weren't even getting a fair shot. I had no clue. I did not know that. See, some hospitals might give us one a week. We think, man, that's fantastic. One a week, that's excellent. We love, thank you. Until you hire someone from a bigger company that says, God, this is better service. You guys are more attentive. You communicate faster. And how is it that where I come from, they're getting 4 or 5 a week? I said, that's not possible. They can't be getting 4 or 5 a week. She said, I promise you. Because this is the person that's getting them. This is who's giving them to them. And this is how this works. I said, well, how does it work? How can we become a part of it? Oh, you can't, because this person went to school, in high school with this person, and just give them to them. I said, oh, okay. How do we beat that, right? Because we don't want to take anything from anybody, whether it be fair or not. We just want to get our fair share. So what we're doing is we're going to the community and we're saying, if you want us, you have to ask for us. We want to service you. You have to know we exist, that we love you, and we're going to give you the best care. If we weren't, then the Better Business Bureau would not have rated us the #1 hospice in Fayetteville. I can't make this stuff up, right? So we're going out, we're doing our part. We love you guys. We want to take care of you. How can you come on our service? You can call 470-878-5051. Also, if you were one of those people that I mentioned and you were sent home with a hospice and you found that you don't like said hospice, you can also transfer to a new hospice. You're not locked in to one hospice. You can move from one hospice to another hospice one time inside of a benefit period, which I'll add and talk about later. But in short, your benefit periods are your first 90 days, your second 90 days, and every 60 days thereafter. Notice I said every 60 days thereafter, because hospice doesn't have to just be for 6 months. As long as you continue to show decline, and we can say that this person is still declining. President Carter was on service for 2 years. Rest in peace to President Carter. But that's just an example of many of people are lasting more than just 6 months. Some not even lasting a couple weeks, but that's because we have to get it early. We have to get the information out. But again, thank you so much. This is one of the things that we want to talk about. DEI never existed for us. We don't have any government contracts for hospice that they're giving us. There was no 8A set aside for us that they gave us. And there's no hospital saying, here, we're going to use you because you're African American or minority owned. And the truth of it is, it would never show up because it's not on their balance sheets. Now, should it be something you care about? Yes, because healthcare is one of those true businesses that to me should still come from the heart, should be loved. It shouldn't be a money thing, but it is. So how do we figure this out? We work together, we say our piece, we get our word out there, get our voices heard. And if you need any help from me, you want to call me, call Henry 470-878-5051. If you want to text me, 404-992-5088. You can text me anytime, 404-992-5088.